Hello, World of Warcraft fans, and welcome to my fourth week of Casual Encounters, the show where I like to make my opinions made on a lot of things World of Warcraft that deal with quality of life issues uh, and make things good for fun and enjoyable for all players, with a little bit of bias toward maybe the casual raider like myself, since that's what I am. That's my viewpoint. I'm an active player. I do play quite a bit. I raid maybe twice a week for a couple of hours each time. Um, I'm the guild master of Last Call. The guild is called Last Call. It's the name of the guild on the Nazgrel server, which is connected with Nessingwary and Vecnalash. So, we're the kind of guild that, you show there's no, we have our specific raid times, our schedule, but we don't have like a super solid team. There's a lot of people with kids or people who go to school, people who have jobs that, it's very difficult to really, and that, to get something really solid together. Um, and, I myself occasionally cannot make it or whatever, so it's just one of those guilds that's really easygoing. We do like to clear the content, the raid content. We do want to kill. We like to kill the final boss on normal mode before the end of any expansion. So that's kind of where all my opinions and stuff are sort of based from. And I'm guessing that there's probably a lot of people in a position like this. Um, I was watching Talk Azeroth last week with Olivia D Grace. She has an amazing show that she does. Um, she kind of replaced Josh Allen, aka Lore. Lore had his Weekly Marmot, and she kind of took over that position on the Zam channel or Tank Spot, whatever it is. She's on those. She's also in Legendary, which I really, really like, where you get just a couple of guys like Gary Gannon and Pat Krane get together with Olivia usually. Sometimes Mike Byrne will show up. Sometimes Koltrane will come in, and that guy's a blast. So, and they always have fun on the show. They talk about all the different news, any news at all that pertains to World of Warcraft, or any kind of news that World of Warcraft fans would probably be interested in. I like to really focus and make my opinions or state my ideas of how to make the game better. Just the game itself, World of Warcraft, what's there. So I like to listen to all these news stories, listen to all these commentaries that people make, and I like to give my ideas on how to just make it better. Um, so I know I really focus mostly on quality of life issues. What's more fun, more choices, stuff like that. So when I was listening to Talk Azeroth with Olivia this week, somebody had a question for her. It was a really, really, really long question. I'm not going to get into too much detail about it, probably mostly because I don't remember it all. But the gist of it was, he's that, with the loss of so many subscribers, down to around 7 million or so, down from the 12 or 14, whatever it was, the maximum we had at one time. He doesn't think it's because it's an old game. He doesn't, there's all the usual things that people talk about. His thing is, he says he's convinced it's because people get on and pretty much if they've done all their catch up stuff, basically all they have to do, the only thing that there is to do, is raid, right? Like actual stuff. I mean, I'm not talking. Yes, you might be able to do some profession stuff, create some stuff, whatever. But if you've got everything you need off the Timeless Isles, and you're not, maybe even geared up your alts and all that stuff, there's pretty much all there is to do is raid. So, and that in itself, I guess, is not a terrible thing. It's just, it doesn't give you a lot of choices. So, what are you going to do? You're going to either go into LFR, Flex, Normal, or Heroic. So, basically what he's saying is, we're doing the same content 4 times. And I do kind of agree with what he said. I don't think that's the sole reason. I think that all the reasons that he mentioned, it's probably a little bit of everything. For me, having just that rating for that one raid, that's current and nothing else current, I think it is a big issue. And I mentioned back in one of my earlier episodes about the 5-mans, and how it would have been really nice if we had some current ones, something that you can do other than LFR or Flex to get gear. I mean, the only, right now the only heroics we have are all the original ones that came in, and basically you just fly through them. You can't get any gear off them that you can actually improve your gear or anything like that. So basically all you do is get Valor, and it will let you upgrade your gear. So that's basically the only thing, right? You're basically doing that stuff. Maybe you're doing scenarios, or maybe you're just using whatever you get from your raids to get for Valor, which will upgrade your gear. So yeah, it's definitely a problem. I mean, even I find myself, I'm definitely not going on every night. I mean, I remember I used to play like every night, and I'm talking good 4 or 5 hours a night, and now I don't, because all there really is to do is raid. That's gonna really do me any good. So yeah, I do kind of get his point. I don't know if that's really, I mean, I'm still playing. I still have my subscription. I mean, I kind of like the idea that I don't have to play so much to be able to further my game. It's kind of good in a way, but at the same time, it would be nice to have more content. And I guess that's what it all comes down to, right? So Blizzard, they have to balance everything, right? They have development teams. They, anything that they put on one team, they got to take off another team, right? So if they take some people off of the raid design team, they got to put them on the dungeon design team if they're going to make more dungeons, or any other content for that matter, whether they be heroic scenarios or whatever. So it's tricky, because it's all about content. That's what people want. People want the most content possible. Now there's only so much development time for so much content. You need the more content you have, that requires more development time, or they could have maybe a whole bunch of content that's just not very good. And they kind of went the route of, let's make a really, really good raid instance, like the Siege of Orgrimmar, which from what I've seen, what I've heard, it's a good raid. It's a nice raid. People overall find it a really, really good raid, and that's great. but it's really all there is, current content. So you can't go and do a heroic dungeon and hope to pick up some gear that might help you in those raids. You can go down, so let's say you're doing normal and you want to you want to get some better gear. You have to do flex, so you're basically going to do the same raid on a lower level to do the raid again. So it's just a matter of how far can you go on that, how high of a level of these 4 levels of this one raid can you go up on. So it's all about creating as much content as they're able to, good quality content that they're able to, and then stretching it to make it last as long as they can without it getting too grindy or too boring or whatever. So I guess what they have done is they've made one big, really good raid, and they've made it just 4 different sort of tiers of that one raid. So that, the guy certainly has a point, and it could definitely be one of the issues. So let's hope that, like they mentioned, and they mentioned what they were thinking about, what they are thinking about for Warlords of Draenor is having these mythic dungeons. And there was a big discussion on, what gear level would you have that on? Well, I guess the gear level would depend on the difficulty of the raid. So, wouldn't you rather go in and do something different? Wouldn't you rather go do some 5-mans with your close friends? Anytime, because I'm sure, like my guild, I imagine that a lot of times you're going to get everybody come on, the most people are going to come on raid night. And then every other night there's going to be people here and there that are on. And, so you can, maybe you got half your guild on or whatever. Half of your raid team, that come on different nights. And, then you guys can, you can grab a 5-man just with your own guild. Go do some decent, challenging content. Now, I don't think it's a terrible idea to have these different tiers of raids. I kind of like it in a way, because it allows me and my guild to, like I said, in Flex. Okay, let's start off LFR. You go in, you can kind of see what it looks like. You have some general idea of what the dungeon looks like, and maybe a very slight idea of what the boss encounters are like. It's on a very minimal scale, of course. But then there's Flex, which gives you that option of learning the fights, but at a lower level, right? So this is good. This is you can learn the mechanics. You can actually learn the mechanics without having to worry about pumping out that big DPS or those big heals, or not making any mistakes at all or anything like that. Maybe the occasional one, but still, it's basically speaking, you can learn the fights, you can learn the mechanics of the fights and get used to them. So I do like that. I mean, it's less banging your head against the wall. It's a way of progression in itself. And then once you have those mechanics down, you can go ahead and try it on normal, and get normal, and then you can keep gearing up. But wouldn't it be nice to have some dungeons just to go in? So I think they can almost do the same thing. Take your dungeons, make your regular normals, your heroics, but then give that myth. If they're going for mythic raids, why not go for mythic dungeons as well? So make them actually, I don't know, make them kind of like the difficulty of maybe Flex raids, right? That kind of difficulty. Obviously, you can't have all the difficult mechanics of flex, because you only have one tank, you only have one healer, 3 DPS, so you're not going to be able to, have all these different mechanics that rely on all these different classes to do different things. You have to be able to make sure that any healer is going to be able to heal through all the stuff. You have to make sure that any single tank is going to be able to handle everything. You can't do all these, tank swaps and all that stuff, but you can still make them tough. You can make them harder. You can still maybe add some, maybe you can have a mythic raid with a mythic dungeon. There's different ways you can do this, right? You can, make each individual boss more difficult. Maybe just have a little extra mechanics, more ads, or just harder hitting, maybe tougher enrage timers or something if they have such a thing in dungeons, or you can add them in. It's mythic, right? You can do whatever you want. And then, but have it so it's about as difficult as, let's say, a flex. Well, I guess in Warlords that's going to be normal, right? So you want to be able, I'm not saying to have the normal gear score, but maybe better than LFR, because LFR basically you could be able to walk through, right? But maybe something close to normal. And since you're going to have normal, which is kind of like flex, now maybe you can do normal, because I think heroic's going to be the new normal, right? Heroic is going to be, well, if you're a normal raiding guild right now, in Warlords of Draenor, you should technically be a heroic guild, heroic raiding guild. And heroic raiding guilds are going to be mythic raiding guilds. So yeah, actually I'm going to change my opinion on that there, now that I actually just thought about it a little bit. Yeah, I think you could have a mythic dungeon that gives you the same level gear as normal raids. That way you don't only have flex to get gear to gear up for normals. You also have this other way. You have something else to do. So I think that would be really, really good idea. And the guy who says, at least this would give other people other things to do than just, try to pug flexes and whatever. You can have that mythic raid and kind of do like you do right now, what they have the heroic scenarios where you actually have to get these people together. You can do it with the new queue system that they're going to have, right? I think they're supposed to have a new queue system, sort of like OQ, if you guys know the add-on OQ, which is really, really popular, I think, right now. You can go in and look for people. You can, put yourself on a wait list for someone who's creating a group. You can ask for a certain gear level. You can, all kinds of stuff. You can put in description of what you're looking for, and then people can just join in that and put themselves on the wait list, and that's great. That would be good, because you don't want to do the whole random matching thing, because then you can't control who's coming in with you, and if you can't control who's coming in with you, then you can't make it that hard, because random people are just not going to be able to do it, just because that's been proven, right? That's why they're bringing LFR to the whole tourist attraction, because there's just too many people going in there who just mess up, whether they do it on purpose or they're just not that good. And that's fine. I got no problem with people wanting to enjoy content, even if they're not a great player. Everybody gets to enjoy the game. I got no problem with that. But when you yourself want to do something and you're at a certain level, you want to be able to choose who you're bringing in with you. So I really think it would be a great idea if they have these mythic dungeons. They are normal, and remember, normal is what flex is now. So normal level gear, that you can, just something else to do to progress your character and help you progress through the raids. Now, keeping all that in mind, we still have to realize that regardless of how much content they put in, don't expect that you're going to get more gear than you do, let's say, now. Because right now they have these 4 tiers of rating, and so the drop rates and all that stuff, it's all determined by how fast can you gear up. So there, let's say on average, Blizzard wants you to get it. I'm just going to throw out a number, right? It has nothing to do with reality. I'm just going to throw out a number. It's all theoretical. So Blizzard says, okay, I want everybody to at maximum get 3 pieces of gear per week. Something, again, it's just a number, right? So right now they have all the drop rates and all that stuff to cater to that, right? So drop rates are at a certain amount. They know, okay, you can do this many, and if you do, it's all evened out. So it's not like, I'm not saying here, give us some more dungeons so that we can get even more gear. I mean, hey, yeah, I'd love it, but obviously they're going to have to do something to counterbalance that. So, maybe you're not going to have the same kind of drop rate. Something like that. I don't know exactly how, or if they do decide to put in these mythic dungeons, and have the different tiers. Please have them normal, have them heroic, have them myth, have the 3 levels so that people can go and do a random heroic and then maybe just get some lower kind of gear. Maybe an LFR, have them do heroic for LFR level gear, and then have them do mythic for normal level gear. And at least that way you have some options. But maybe maybe you're not going to have, let's say, 14 bosses. Maybe you'll have 10 bosses or something like that. I don't think 10 bosses is a terrible amount. And maybe you can make the dungeons, the raids I should say, a little more challenging. Individual bosses or whatever, just a little bit more challenging, so that instead of trying to get through 14 bosses, then you do 10, but you have all these heroics you can do in the meantime, right, to bring it. So there'll be less gearing through raids, but maybe you can add. It's going to be balanced either way. They have to balance it because they don't want people to be able to just get all the gear they could ever want, on the first week. And maybe they can lock out mythic raids for mythic dungeons, to once or twice a week or something. Say, okay, you or once a day. I don't know. You can only do it. Well, I think they already do that with heroics, right? But you can random heroics more than once. So yeah, that's another way. They'll balance it out. Obviously, how fast you can get gear. So just always remember that. They always have to keep those things in mind. However much development they do, it's always got to be balanced. They have to balance their development time and then stretch whatever they've done to a certain amount of time. That's just something we have to live with. Obviously, as technology gets better and whatever, maybe they can produce content faster. I don't know. Maybe become less expensive to produce more better content. And at that point, and I think that's sort of what happened, right? Between vanilla and now, they've been able to give us all these things that improve, that make it more fun, less grindy, all that stuff, because they don't feel the need to stretch everything so far and make things so hard that it takes so long and everything's so long and difficult and grindy. But back in that time, it worked because it was all new. But it's not new anymore. People just don't want to do that stuff anymore. It's most I imagine let's 10 years ago, and when okay, again, I'm gonna go example, just theoretical example. Somebody started playing this when they were 17 years old, right? Now they're 27. Maybe they have a job. Maybe they even, who knows, some of them would have probably maybe even started families. I mean, I started my family when I was 26. So it's, so people have families, there's less time. So a lot of the WoW players are older and have different responsibilities, more responsibilities. With all the new free-to-play games and all the different games that are coming out and so many games, I don't think WoW is going to get that many new people. At the beginning, they were the innovators. They were the first people to come out with this giant MMO, right? Okay, yeah, there's EverQuest and stuff like that, but I mean, Blizzard took it to a whole new level. No one had ever seen anything like this before, but now there's a lot of games out there that are giving this type of content, and there's a lot more competition. And honestly, I think that's where the subscriptions have gone. I don't think it's anything. I think WoW has done a tremendous job of keeping what they have. Honestly, it's a 10-year-old game with an old engine, and hey, I think with all the improvements that they've made, the quality of life stuff, dual specking, stuff like that, and now with Warlords of Draenor, changing the primary stat when you change spec and all that stuff. I mean, this is quality of life stuff. This is what makes the game fun and enjoyable. For me, that's what I find. It allows you to get through the content easier, quicker, and like I said, as long as they can keep that content, if they can keep up with you, and that's what it's all about. It's keeping the content going that they create long enough for the next content to come out. And obviously there's always going to be a longer stretch at the end of every expansion. They want to make sure everybody gets through it, give everybody that chance, and obviously time to develop and create these whole new worlds that they're going to create for the next expansion. So it's all about content. Everything is about content and stretching that content out so that it's playable as long as possible and to keep people there. So, wow. So that's like one topic on my whole entire show, probably my longest show ever. But I think it was really, I think it was something that really needed to be discussed, and hopefully people will get a better understanding, and hopefully we can get just more content. Good content. Let's not just go in and only have to raid. So especially if you don't want to like make alts or stuff like that. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. I'll probably have another one tomorrow since I've only discussed one thing. So thanks for coming as usual. If you would like to subscribe, please subscribe to my channel. You can just click on this little guy right up here and you can subscribe. If you would like to email me for any reason, you can here it says wow on my mind, so wowonmymind@gmail.com. Please email me if it's best just to leave comments. I mean, that's probably the easiest way, but if there's something specific you'd like to discuss with me or whatever, go ahead, feel free to email me. As I mentioned, I am on Nazgrel, which is connected with Nestingwary and Vecnalash. I am on my guild is Last Call. I have a druid by the name of PowerShift. I have a mage by the name of Idamit, which is Timothy spelled backwards. Anytime you want to say hi, feel free, and have fun playing World of Warcraft. Take care, guys.